Do you often feel overwhelmed by too many tasks at once? Stay tuned as we uncover the surprising truth about multitasking and how you can enhance your focus. Welcome to Mind Minutes. Ever feel like your brain is a browser with like 20 tabs open? You're juggling work emails, social media, that podcast you swear you'll finish later, and oops, dinner's cold.
Huh. Tell me about it. I'm the queen of multitasking, or at least I thought I was. Turns out it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Right? This article we're discussing dives deep into why multitasking is actually a productivity killer. It's like trying to run multiple programs on your computer at once. Eventually, everything slows down.
It mentions switching costs. What's that about?
So every time you switch tasks, your brain has to reorient itself. That takes time and mental energy. Like a Stanford study found, it can take up to 25 minutes to regain focus after an interruption.
25 minutes? No wonder I feel so scattered by the end of the day. I probably lose hours just switching between tasks.
Exactly. And it's not just time, it impacts quality too. The article mentions a study where interruptions actually lowered IQ scores temporarily, thank goodness. But still, that's a scary thought.
Yeah, makes you think twice about checking your phone every 5 seconds. What about those people who thrive in chaos, though? You know, the ones who work best in a bustling coffee shop?
The article touches on that. Apparently, there's something called distracted focus, where some people actually do work better with a bit of background noise. But for most of us, silence, or at least minimal distractions, is key.
So what's the solution? Just become a hermit and shun all technology?
Not exactly. It's more about being mindful. Recognize when you're multitasking and try to minimize it, especially for tasks that require deep focus. Close those extra browser tabs, put your phone on silent, create a dedicated workspace.
I guess it's about prioritizing quality over quantity. One thing done well is better than 10 things half finished, right?
Absolutely. It's about training your brain to focus on one thing at a time, like building a mental muscle.
Which, ironically, take focus. It's a bit of a catch-22.
It is, but it's a muscle worth building. And it starts with small steps. Maybe just try single tasking for 30 minutes at a time and see how you feel. If you're enjoying this discussion on focus and productivity, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Mind Minutes. We'll be back with more tips and insights on how to improve your mental game a few minutes at a time.
Great advice. Small changes can make a big difference in the long run. Thanks for breaking this down. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a dinner date with some leftovers and no screens allowed.
So, picking up on this whole multitasking thing, it's not just about feeling scattered, right? There's some serious science behind why it's a productivity drain. This Evans study from 2020 really digs into how multitasking differs from just doing something difficult.
Oh, yeah? So it's not just that we're trying to do too much, it's how we're trying to do it?
Exactly. They found that switching between tasks actually adds a whole other layer of cognitive load. It's not just about the difficulty of each individual task, it's the mental gymnastics of jumping back and forth.
That makes sense. Like, writing an email is easy enough, but if I'm also trying to book a flight and answer a text, suddenly my brain's fried.
Totally. And that's where these switching costs come in. Remember that Stanford study? 25 minutes to regain focus after an interruption? Oof.
Ouch, yeah. And this Jackson, Dawson, and Wilson paper from '03, they were looking at email interruptions, right? What did they find? Well, they actually found ways to mitigate the damage. Things like setting specific times for checking email or using filters to prioritize important messages. They also looked at how interruptions affected overall work quality, which is, not great.
Yeah, that whole just a minute never is idea, right? That's from a '98 paper by Van Solingen, Bergout, and Van Latem. Really hits home, doesn't it?
Definitely. I mean, it's like the moment you think, oh, I can just quickly check this one thing, boom, you're down the rabbit hole.
Right? And each time we interrupt ourselves, our brains have to reorient, like recalibrating a compass. It's exhausting.
So what about this Monsell paper? 2003, I think? Something about task switching?
Right, Monsell really gets into the nitty-gritty of how our brains switch gears. It turns out it's not a seamless process. There's a measurable delay each time we shift focus. I mean, this guy broke it down and really showed just how inefficient it is. We're not designed to be constantly switching gears.
Okay, so multitasking is bad, but what if it just feels productive? Like, sometimes when I'm juggling a million things, I feel like I'm getting so much done, even though, logically, I know I'm probably not.
It's an illusion, right? Like that Ofer, Nass, and Wagner study from '09 showed that heavy multitaskers actually performed worse on cognitive tests. They were less efficient, not more.
Oh, interesting. There's that whole cognitive overload thing, right? Like trying to pour a gallon of water into a pint glass.
Perfect analogy. It just spills everywhere. And you're left with a mess. So if any of this is resonating with you, and let's be real, Who hasn't felt the pain of multitasking madness? Hit that subscribe button. We'll be back with more Mind Minutes soon, and we'll talk some more about how to break free from this multitasking trap.
Totally. Because who needs a gallon of water when you can savor a perfectly poured pint?
So we were talking about that feeling of being scattered, like your brain's a web browser with too many tabs open. This Ophir, Nass, and Wagner study from '09, it really dives into how heavy multitaskers actually perform worse on cognitive tests. Like, significantly worse.
Yeah. Worse how? Like they just take longer to complete tasks?
It's more than just time, they actually make more mistakes, and their ability to filter out irrelevant information takes a nosedive. It's like their mental bandwidth is completely maxed out.
So it's not just feeling less efficient, they are less efficient, there's actual data to back it up.
Exactly. And this 2009 study isn't alone. There's this other one, Cognitive Control in Media Multitaskers, published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in 2009. It's a real mouthful, but it makes a similar point.
So more evidence that multitasking is a productivity killer?
Basically, yeah. They found that heavy media multitaskers, the people constantly juggling their phones, laptops, and TVs, they're actually worse at filtering out distractions.
So even if they feel like they're getting more done, they're actually less focused?
Right. And there's this 2008 New York Times article by Matt Riftel, Read This and Cost Your Company Dough, that, well, it lays out the financial impact of all these distractions. It's not just a personal productivity issue, it's hitting companies' bottom lines.
Oh, that's interesting. So there's a real economic cost to all this multitasking madness?
Absolutely. Lost productivity, errors, rework, it all adds up. And then there's Glenn Wilson's Infomania study, which, it highlights the sheer volume of information we're bombarded with daily.
So it's not just about multitasking, it's about information overload too, right?
Yeah, it's like a double whammy. We're trying to do too many things and process too much information at the same time. It's a recipe for, well, disaster, or at least a very unproductive day.
And there's actual physical changes in the brain, right? Something about gray matter?
Oh, right. There's a 2014 study by Lowe and Kanai. They found that higher media multitasking activity is actually linked to smaller gray matter density in the anterior cingulate cortex. That's the part of the brain that deals with, cognitive control.
Whoa, so multitasking is literally shrinking our brains? Okay, that's officially terrifying. I am putting my phone down right now. Seriously, if you're feeling inspired to declutter your mental space and reclaim your focus, hit that subscribe button. We'll be back with more Mind Minutes and more practical tips on how to tame that multitasking monster.
So we were talking about multitasking and how it really messes with our focus, right? Well, it turns out it's not just our perception of being scattered. There's actual physical stuff happening in our brains.
Oh yeah? Like what?
There's this 2014 study, Lowe and Kanai. They found that people who multitask a lot actually have less gray matter in a specific part of their brain.
Whoa, less gray matter? That doesn't sound good. Which part?
The anterior cingulate cortex, it's like the brain's control center for, focus and attention. And it's shrinking in heavy multitaskers. If you're just tuning in now, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more quick mental wellness tips on Mind Minutes.
So multitasking is literally making us lose brain power? Okay, that's it. I'm throwing my phone in a lake.
Huh. Maybe not a lake, but definitely worth being more mindful of how we're using our tech. And there's this other fascinating angle, this 2020 study in Aging Cell. It looks at how multitasking, or rather the rapid task switching involved, impacts memory, especially in the context of Alzheimer's.
Oh wow, so there's a link between multitasking and Alzheimer's?
Well, not a direct causal link, but this study used an animal model of Alzheimer's and found that this constant switching between tasks actually accelerated the decline in memory and something called time activity dependent plasticity. It's a bit of a mouthful, but basically, it's the brain's ability to learn and adapt. Pretty important stuff.
So multitasking could make memory problems worse? That's unsettling.
Yeah, it adds another layer of complexity to this whole multitasking issue. It's not just about productivity, it's about long-term brain health. And this decline, they observed, it was even more pronounced in females.
Oh really? A sex-specific effect? That's interesting. And slightly alarming. I need to pay attention to this. I've got a family history of Alzheimer's.
It's definitely worth looking into. And then there's this 2019 study, Xu, Wang, and Woods. It looked at multitasking in the context of, get this, dual motivational systems, like how our brains handle competing desires and goals.
So like wanting to finish a project and wanting to scroll through Instagram?
Exactly. And how that constant tug of war affects our ability to, actually accomplish anything. They found that, well, it's complicated, but basically it reinforces the idea that our brains aren't designed to handle this constant switching between tasks and motivations.
Right. It's like trying to run two different operating systems on the same computer. Eventually, it's going to crash.
Perfect analogy. So, to wrap things up, if you're feeling overwhelmed by the multitasking madness, you're not alone. And more importantly, it's not just you, it's how our brains are wired. So, take a deep breath, close a few tabs, both mental and digital, and focus on one thing at a time. You might be surprised at how much more you get done and how much better you feel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and join us next time for more Mind Minutes.
Great advice. Thanks for listening, everyone. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go declutter my brain and maybe my desk too. See you next time.